So obviously there's many young professionals tuning into these kind of conversations, wanting to create an interesting career. If you interview a young professional between 25 and 40 years old, what are sort of your favorite questions to ask? What do you look for? Is there anything you've seen over the years that you think, okay, this person has a great chance of actually having an impact versus this is probably not the right place? You said before that shipping is a lifestyle, not a job. It actually has quite many views on YouTube. So I think it sort of says that this is not your typical 8 to 4, get home, relax. It's sort of around the clock. But any favorite questions to ask, things to understand about people? And if this is an industry where you actually believe that they will have a great impact?
Yeah. I think it depends on where in the organization you recruit people, obviously, but I'll still stand behind that phrase. You know, it's a lifestyle, not a job. To me, from my experience, the ones who have succeeded the best in the shipping industry, and that could be on the broking side, banker side, it could be from the lawyer side, and obviously by working in a shipping company, it's the ones who have a strong interest for the maritime industry to begin with, or they develop a strong interest for the maritime industry, so that they think it's interesting, fun, and love all the the various aspects of our industry, which is. Because shipping is, a very simple industry surrounded by a lot of complexity, and the people who kind of start really enjoying that complexity and the exposure you have to the international markets, to geopolitics, to a lot of fun people, and tough competition in the markets and so on. They are the ones typically who survive and thrive in the shipping business. And the same goes for brokers, bankers, lawyers on the technical side. So I think people in general who have that strong interest or build that interest in the maritime industry, like yourself, I would say, they are the ones who actually stay in the industry for the entire career, because that's one of the remarkable things about the shipping industry is that lots of people stay in the business from when they start working until they retire, and I think that's quite unique. That says something about the attraction it also and the addiction you get by working in the shipping industry. And it's obviously not only fun and excitement. It's also it's a pretty tough industry to work in, because it's very, very competitive, and you are exposed to the unforeseen all the time. So you have to have that certain resilience, which you, by being interested in the business, in the industry, would automatically have, I think.
Mm-hmm. Very good point. So if you started over again, is there anything you would have done differently in terms of, okay, I want to acquire that skill, I want to be sailing a couple of years before I go into the office? Is there any reflections on, or I want to dive into AI and see how I can optimize everything from A to Z? Or would you have done the same journey and just...
I think that's a very good question, actually. I think the AI is probably something which lies more ahead of us, but we are spending quite a lot of time on it. But we just need to find out how it's actually going to impact our business before we decide on which route to go. But I think it depends a little bit on where in the shipping industry you work. But one thing which is where I at least have built up kind of my strength in is because I worked as a shipbroker, so I have quite a lot of transaction experience, and I think that is something which is part of my strength. There are other parts where I'm not even close to an expert, where I need to rely on my colleagues. Typically, I'm not a financier or a banker as such. So I mean, that's where I typically need support, but you learn as you go along. which is very important part of life in general, I think, and also your professional life, is that you it's not like you go out of school and then you know everything you need to know. Here it's a continuous learning process. And to me, it's about, over the last year, it's been a lot about the capital markets, since I came from, the private part of the industry, being a shipbroker. And of course, it's a slightly different animal when you have to deal with the capital markets and investors, which you don't really have in the same sense in the private part of the industry. So it's, but I learn new things every day. So it's, and there's always room for improvement. But I think it's very important when I had this kind of ambition to become, one of the best shipbrokers within that field. So to specialize and kind of excel within that fairly narrow space.
In gas or in?
Yeah, in gas, yes.
Yeah, so.
Because I started in the industry as an LPG shipbroker. I started as a trainee, and then when after I graduated from the Norwegian School of Economics, I started full time as an LPG shipbroker. So I was quite fortunate, I would say, because it was a market which was growing and has kind of was the start of the journey where I am today. So I followed the industry for more than, for 25 years basically. And but I think one important part of being successful is that you have to be good at something. If you're just a generalist, you can be easily substituted. So
you're outcompeted on across every.
And I think as a shipbroker, you feel that very, very quickly if you're not relevant. So you have to be very good at something to actually attract business and clients. So we talked a lot about that in the team. I remember when I started. Okay, we have to be individually good at something to be able to attract business, and I think that's still the case. So strong interest for the industry to focus on something which is relevant and to be really good at it is still something I would recommend young professionals to do.
Great advice.